In this episode,
you know Cindy and Casey.
Yeah,
you don't know Ryan and Rashane.
You're lying, dude. There's no
I'm
Ryan
not lying.
and Rashane. There's no Ryan and Rashane, dude. I've known you for so long. There's no Ryan and there's no Rashane. I would know Rashane.
Welcome. You're listening to Paleo Cheese Podcast, episode 29, part 1. Force feeding kids and Chad's mystery siblings.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Jeremiah Bannister.
And I'm Chad Lutsky.
And you are listening to another great edition of Paleo Cheese Podcast, part of the Project Entertainment Network. And Chad, we're going to watch an amazing show tonight, aren't we? We're going to watch a movie.
Yeah. Well, technically, we already did.
Technically, nobody knows that, Chad. Nobody knows that. This is all tomfoolery, man. It's all tomfoolery. Yeah. We watched an amazing movie, maybe one of the greatest movies we've ever seen in our entire lives.
I think you're being facetious, but I'm not.
You're not. You loved it, dude. It's forever, dude. You're wearing it on your sleeve. Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to get to that. And if we might even get around to posting some highlights of us just cracking, remarks, commentary, laughing through the stuff. We might. If not, we're not going to do a real deep dive, even though, our heads are still pounding from the deep message of this film. We're not going to go.
It's not like the deep esoteric psychoanalytic analysis of this film, Chad.
No,
no symbolism, nothing like that.
No, I would just rather people just see it for themselves and then grasp the, read between the lines, when you're watching this.
You're actually encouraging people to watch this.
Dude, 50 minutes into it, I sent Jason Brandt a message.
What?
Because he does. I said, dude, you have to. I said, whatever movie you've got next for your So Bad It's Good YouTube channel, he does. Yeah. I said, whatever movie you got lined up, cancel it. You have to put this at the top. He says he's seen the trailer, but he has not seen the movie. And I said, this is pure gold. You have to watch it for your show. So that being said, we do not have a guest tonight. Right. Yeah. Last guest we had was Mr. John Bowden, wonderful author, wonderful friend, and you can go check that out. I think that was episode 28. This will be 29. But I do have a question that I thought would make for a good conversation starter. My sister gave me this box as a gift a while ago. It's just this wooden box with decorative thing, and it's got these plastic bag of conversation starters in here. My wife and I get into them sometimes, and they start conversations. So yeah, that's what we're going to do right now. And I've got one here that I picked out just minutes ago. I got 3 here, but we'll do one, and then we'll get to talking about the movie. So I know you're hungry. You're going to have your wife bring you down some food.
Some soup, dude. Yeah,
we might be blessed with some mukbanging by you. And but in the meantime, here's a question for you. And I've got some my own answer, obviously, and some thoughts on this. But should kids be forced to try new foods?
Should kids be forced to try new foods?
Yeah.
Well, I've never thought of it as a should, like as a normative thing that everybody kind of does. But in our home, we have a basic idea that if mama makes it, that it's an intentional thing, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not some random thing. It's not like she's getting sea urchin and saying, put it in your throat, or the fish, what is it, from Norway or some crap that smells like poop,
like puffer fish.
No, I don't think it's puffer fish, dude. No, this is some kind. I don't know what this is, dude. This is another level. Like people were doing videos of this a couple years ago where they would open it up and it fills up the whole house. People were like puking for real. I mean, the smell was so raunchy. We don't have any of that, right? So I mean, she's making foods that are pretty much within the wheelhouse of typical American diet, which extends to things like Asian food, for example, Mexican food, for example, Italian food, for example, Greek food, sometimes rare, but sometimes. And so we expand on that, but we also don't sit there. We're not like super hardcore about the idea that if one of the kids tries it and says, I really don't like it, we're not going to sit there and be like, shove it down your throat right now. You're not going to be able to do anything unless you. We're not doing that thing, right?
Right.
And so, but we do strongly encourage the diversifying of the palate to try different foods, and also to say that if mama does make it, at least show her the respect of trying it. If you don't like it, it's actually okay, right? If you say, well, this food is crap, like that's one thing, like that's rude. But if you say, I don't personally like this kind of food, I'm not a fan of this flavor, then we're okay with it. You know?
Okay, but this has more to do with the forcing of just getting there, of trying it, not liking it or not being, or
they got to try it. If mama makes it, you try it. No.
Okay.
I make them. Yeah, if they say, well, I don't want that, and they have never tried it, and they're just saying, well, that just looks gross. It's kind of, that's even more fundamental than movies. Like Athanasius, he's the main one that complains, like, well, I don't want that. I don't want that. And he's done that his whole life. But the thing is, take movies as an example. He'll say the same thing. Well, that looks stupid. I don't want to watch that movie. And then he watches it. And I bet you 95% of the time he's like, just like, I'd give it like an 8 or a 9. So at the end, and it's kind of like that with food for the most part. But sometimes he's not that way. And if it's overly dramatic and everything, but we will, yes, if it's made in the house, and if we took time or money to put it together and we put it on the table, the kid is going to eat some of it. If they don't like it, that's okay. As long as they're not rude about it. Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I agree. It is kind of a silly question because, let's face it. If we didn't, and again, here we're talking about forcing to try new foods, not forcing to make them eat a food that they don't like. Okay, that they know they already don't like. But let's face it, if we didn't, our kids would want to live off Happy Meals and Doritos. And that's as far as their palate would go.
Frosties.
My own personal experience, I grew up in a house that, we would, if all of us were going to eat at the table, then we'd eat at the dinner table. If only a couple of us were, then we'd eat at the counter, rather than it was a more casual setting, I guess. You're sitting on a stool, you're at the counter. But my mom cooked often, and she would make things sometimes that I didn't like. And so I had, my mom, God bless her, love her, she's a great parent. But this is an area, and I think that she probably I think any parent looks back on some decisions that they have made as parenting, because our kids are guinea pigs, whether we like it or not. You're not born knowing how to parent, even if you feel like your parents are the best parents. Each child is their own individual person, and so are you. And so some parenting things might not work. So it's an experiment, and especially with that first child. And I was the first child, and so there were some things that that I had to do or whatever, that I was raised that my parents didn't carry on to my, the second and third child, my sister and then brother. But one of the things that I did have to do when I was a kid, not only was I forced to try something, but if it was made, I was forced to eat it. And this included stuff that everyone knew.
Sea urchin.
I repulsed. No, worse than that.
Worse than sea urchin.
Yes.
No.
Summer squash.
I like
Summer
summer.
squash.
What are you talking about? Summer squash? I mean, worse than sea urchin.
Butternut squash.
That's better than sea urchin.
But let me tell you, man, I don't know if it was the texture. Like the summer squash, correct me if I'm wrong. One of them was orange and looked like mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one looked like yellow discs of boiled cucumber. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that was the butternut, and the other one was the summer. I'm not really sure, but these were things that I had zero interest in eating. And it wasn't until I got much older that my dad, my biological father, I remember he bought a pizza once. We ordered a pizza, and when he got the pizza, he put stuff on it. And I'd never heard of that before. Like he put pepper on it, like shook pepper on it. I'd never heard of anyone like sprucing up something that's already done.
Just sprucing it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Your dad's sprucing up.
yes, we'd make frozen burritos, and he put like green sauce and other ingredients on it. Totally spruce it up and make it his own. And until he was doing that, I was like, I realized it's not against the law to do that with already prepared meals. So if I'd have thought about it when I was younger and been more, experimental with some of my mom's cooking that I didn't care for, I would have done things like, there are a lot of things around here that if my kids don't like something, I'll try to spruce it up with cheese or bacon bits or
sriracha sauce.
Yeah.
Brown
stuff like
sugar.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got this blob of, summer squash. Nothing is on it but salt. And looking back, I could have sprinkled some cheese and some bacon bits on there, or, who knows what? I don't know, put some chives in it, something to, but
does any of that go good with summer squash? I don't know. I've always just had regular summer squash. With salt, maybe.
Probably not.
With
Probably
salt. I mean,
not.
you're talking about bacon. I mean, does anything necessarily go bad with bacon? I mean, I think even sea urchin would probably go good with bacon.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm not willing to try a sea urchin a second time.
Bacon is just salt with a different texture.
Bacon is just
it's seasoned salt with a different texture.
Yeah, just a different texture. It's just
it's like eating strips of Lawry's, No, but my mom my mom and dad would make me eat everything on my plate. And so sometimes and I was not a fan of vegetables. There was no vegetables I can think of that I enjoyed growing up, with the exception of corn on the cob. I was kind of a stingy eater. I did not like vegetables at all. So like green beans and plus my mom would, we had a garden. And so a lot of our vegetables were fresh. I preferred canned because they had all that sodium in there. And so if you got a portion of your plate is filled with these green beans that taste very bland. And then you versus a can, and they got a different texture. They're softer. They're filled with sodium, a lot more flavor. And I probably didn't mind those, but because we had a garden, we always had fresh vegetables, which is probably where the squash came from. Anyway, it was a big ordeal, and I would be made to sit at the table until I ate them. And sometimes this would be for a long time. Everyone would be gone from the table. I'd still be sitting there. I'd even have to move to the counter sometimes. My mom would clear the thing, and I'd sit there, and once in a while I would try to hide it with, under mashed potatoes or something. Or even in my
dude, you went that far. You went that far, dude.
Dump it in my glass of milk.
What?
Yeah. And it was torture, dude, and I freaking hated it.
Torture.
It was first world torture.
Dude. Oh, come on, man.
It was first world torture, man. And so whenever I would have to eat this stuff, I would put it in my mouth real fast, plug my nose, and just down all my milk so I wouldn't have to taste it. And I'd be going, and I'd be gagging and stuff.
Really, dude?
Yeah, I was real dramatic about it, and I'd be crying, tears would be rolling my face, and I'd be eating this torturous food. And I don't agree with that, and I don't think my mom does anymore either.
Making you eat the food?
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
down. Yeah.
Now, if she was like, "Hey, I made this summer squash. Why don't you try it? You might like it."
Mhm.
No, I don't want to. Well, you're going to, because you might like it and you might be missing out.
Yeah,
Try it. Don't like it. Okay. Thanks for trying it.
that's legit. In my
Instead of-
opinion.
yeah.
Yeah.
An hour later, I told you you're not going to get up until you drink
I'm
that
okay with
squash you
that,
tried
though.
hiding in your milk.
I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with the idea that just because you're done and you don't like the food, that doesn't mean you can get up and leave. The dinner to our family is a family affair. In fact, the normative rule in our home is that if mama has not sat down to eat, and if she has not eaten yet, then you don't. And I know that's old-fashioned, man. I know it's old-fashioned for the boys to technically be encouraged to stand up until she sits down. But that is the normative expectation in our home.
It might be strange to some people, but you know what? I don't think it's one of those things that you're particularly your boys are going to grow up and going, yeah, that was BS.
Yeah,
You know,
I wish I
any-
could have sat down first in front of mama.
Yeah. If
I need to
anything,
get back to video games. You know?
if anything, it can teach them some respect, which is something that a lot of children, particularly men or young men, really lack. Respect toward women.
And so, I mean, so that's a rule, right? And they're not allowed to leave early, in part because to us it's not just about eating.
Yeah.
So, like we talk, right? We pray. We've even started doing prayers after food because a lot of people, not anymore. I was going to say everybody, no, not anymore. But a lot of people pray before their meals, but very few will pray before the meal and after the meal. And we've started to do that, right? And then after that's done, then we have an expectation for the kids to take care of the plates. So they learn to put the plates down. They learn to take care of the plates and put them away. And then once everything's done, at least we have a dishwasher. So it's not like I'm, when I was young, I had to sit there and, get my hands in the grossness. With them, I just put the dishes in and it's over. And so, and then when it's done, when it beeps at you, then you get to take them out and you get to stack them up and put them away. And so that's the idea. But it's that dinner is a family affair, right? And so there's no leaving to go do what you want to do, and you're a separate thing. Like it's just to energize you as an individual, and then go about your business. Like it's like no. It is to energize you, to re-energize you, to nourish you, but it's also to nourish you in different ways, and also to help create good habits, discipline. In fact, even adventure, like the expectation to expand your boundaries, because especially it's funny. Like one of my sons will talk about, I hope one day I've got a fancy house and a jet. Wouldn't that be awesome? I'd love to make gobs of money. And I'm like, wouldn't it be great? He's like, I could travel all over the world. And I'm like, and you're going to be eating food that they're not going to be selling your macaroni and cheese home slice. Like you got to get used to the idea, at least, of trying something that you don't expect. And now he's reached that age because he's 14 now. So now he's reached that age where his palate is beginning to develop and he's beginning to be more adventurous on his own. So now it's not like, oh, well, you should try this. Like he'll want to try different things now. And so it's kind of cool in that way too, that we've at least made him, because I know families. I'm not even kidding. I know families where the kid, they're like, yeah, my kid wants to eat every single day chips and macaroni and cheese or chicken nuggets, and they get mad, dude. If they don't get their chicken nuggies, they get super mad. And I'm like, oh no, I'd be putting the old kibosh, like blam, like it'd be over. There's none of that. You don't play that game in our home. And so but again, not everybody has the same style we do. Some people are more into the, learning their parenting skills from movies like Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. And so that's like the way they go. And they're like, well, that's what I want to do. Whatever you want, son, whatever you want. But that's my answer.
Yeah. I think it's, like I said, it's kind of a silly question, just forced to try new foods. Big difference between forced to eat something that you tried and you think it's the devil.
Yeah. So. You know what's weird, dude? Is that in your answer, you brought up something that I've known, because I know your sister, I know your brother,
Yeah.
right? I've met both of them. I've spoken to both of them. I've seen one of the, I've seen both of them play instruments. So like,
Yeah, my brother and I were in a band, a couple of
Yeah.
bands together. So
Yeah.
yeah,
and doesn't your sister play guitar?
and piano and sing.
Yeah,
She's a
and
great
sing.
musician.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so like I have seen this and I've always known that you are the first, but when you said it, it's kind of
Mhm.
like when you know something and yet it doesn't fully click. Because I'm a firstborn in
Mhm.
my home, and I know my experience is different from my sister and my brother. And dude, it's the same order too. My
Yeah.
sister's the middle child, right? And so your sister's the middle one.
Mhm.
And so like I kind of sit there and I'm like, when you said it and you're like, well, I'm a firstborn. I kind of sat there and thought, I said, I've thought about it before,
Mhm.
but it's been so long, it felt brand new. And I'm like, dude, hey man, yeah, okay. Like it was one of those weird things where it clicked for me.
Here's
And I was
another weird thing. I'll make it even weirder.
Yeah.
I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
Now you're lying to me.
No, I'm not lying to you.
Are any of them stepbrothers?
No,
Stepsisters?
no.
They're all no, dude. Now, okay. Now I know you're lying, dude. There's no
I'm
way.
not lying.
There's no way, dude. So none of them are your none of
My-
them are your
my-
stepbrothers.
My sister Cindy.
Okay.
Okay, I was 9 when she was born, and then my
Okay.
brother
Oh, yeah.
Casey, I was 10. So
Yeah.
you know Cindy and Casey.
Yeah. Of
You
course.
don't know Ryan and Rashane.
You're lying, dude. There's no
I'm not
Ryan and
lying.
Rashane. There's no Ryan and Rashane, dude. I've known you for so long. There's no Ryan and there's no Rashane. I would know Rashane.
No, dude, I'm not joking. I'm serious. And this makes me sad because if they hear it, and I'm sure they won't.
What?
We're not very close. If they hear this, then it's like, well, does he not talk about me? But we're just not close.
Rashane.
Yeah. Here's how it went
Dude,
down.
you're lying. There's no Rashane.
No.
There's no Ryan. I can believe. I can almost believe there's a Ryan. Like that's kind of, but you throw in Rashane, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. You're lying, Jack.
Ryan spelled with an I, Rian.
What?
Yeah. And
The girl,
no, it's a
guy with the Rian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, I think you're making these people up. These are comic book characters. Everybody don't believe Chad. These are fake people.
My brother Casey and I used to be like best friends. You know, we spent a lot of time together. I taught him how to skateboard. I taught him how to play guitar. I taught him how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and all kinds. Just stuff. We were like best friends. We were in a couple bands together, recorded music, played shows. And then he grew up, got into some trouble and started. By that time, I was done getting in all my trouble. But he kind of grew out of me. When you've got your sober older brother, he's no fun. Yeah. When you got your new drug buddies to hang out with. So
you're throwing him under the drug bus, dude.
Well,
you're like he's just so stoned he doesn't want to be friends.
No, Casey is 40 now, and he doesn't do that anymore. He did for a long time. No, he's one of the hardest working people that I know. He's got maybe other than my dad, he's got the best work ethic of someone that I know in real life.
Doesn't this prove that theory that I've had for a long time that hardcore drug use on a consistent basis is a gateway drug, in fact, to a very powerful work ethic?
Oh, yes. I say all the time.
Isn't that true, Chad?
Especially if they want to be couch salesmen.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, they know a lot about that then. So, okay. So your family, right? Ryan spelled very wrongly. Okay. Bad. And then you've got what? Rashawn? What'd you call him? Rashane.
She's my sister. She's a school teacher.
A girl, Rashane. Okay.
She's a school teacher. Yeah.
She's a school teacher.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan is a roofer. I think he's still doing that. It's weird because here's why you and I have known each other for more than 2.5 decades.
Yeah, people don't. Yeah, I was gonna say people don't even get this. Like we've known each other for a long time, and I maybe you have, right? I'm one of those guys like your brother, a very hard worker who walked through the gateway of drugs to get where I am now. And so like I don't know, Chad, maybe I heard it and process it, but this is new to me. I actually didn't know this.
And just to clarify, my brother and I talk, we're just not best friends, and we don't see each other very much. He's got 2 beautiful kids and a wife, a house, all that.
Which brother are you talking about now?
I'm talking about Casey.
Of course, Casey. And by the way, I've met Casey too. Casey's a cool dude.
Yeah, he is cool. But he anyway, I'm very close to my sister Cindy though.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Ryan and Shane, my parents got divorced when I was like 1, my biological father, and he remarried, and then he remarried again, and he had 2 kids. And that's my sister and brother.
But that's your step. That's your step.
We're not step. Is that step?
If your mom and dad, if you did not have the same mom and dad.
No, that's half.
Oh.
That's step.
All right. I got you. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Step would be if he married into that.
If you married. Okay. So it's your half brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, my sister Cindy and my brother Casey, who I grew up with. I mean, I was 9, so by the time I moved out when I was 16, Cindy was very young still.
Yeah,
7 years old, and Casey was like 6. So it's not like we grew up together, really.
Yeah.
But we're close But we did grow up in the same home and had the same mom, but we had different dads. So we are half brother and sister, just like I am with Ryan and Shane, except for me and Casey and Cindy. We don't feel like half siblings because we're so close, and because we, grew up in the same household with the same parents. Yeah. So it's never felt like if you talk to my sister, she doesn't even like using that word, like half brother or whatever. She's just never considered me a half brother. I've never considered
his brother.
Yeah. Whereas Ryan and Shane, it is like that. And that's only because, I didn't grow up with, when I moved to Colorado to live with my dad for a while, Ryan wasn't even born.
Wow.
So I'm much older than Ryan. I think Ryan is like 30 something now. So, but I'm like, I got like, I don't know, at least 15 years on him. 6 pounds.
That's still
like
weird, dude.
17, 18.
It's still weird, man.
It is. And I wish that I was closer to them. It is just weird how you become who you are based on how you live. Like my biological father was very cultured in music and art and film, very cultured. He was a hippie, but when him and his wife got divorced, Ryan and Shane's mother, she went and married a guy who, for lack of a better term, I don't know the guy. I know that I'm sure he's awesome. A redneck. So they grew up. So Ryan and Shane grew up like hunting and building things and stuff like that. So Ryan is very much from, he's all about hunting and fishing. Never read a book in his life.
What?
Yeah, I just talked to him the other day.
Never read one book.
Yeah, I just talked to. Hey, dude, I didn't read a book until I was like 24.
What?
Hated reading.
Not even one.
No.
Not even Island of the Blue Dolphin or Isle of the Blue Dolphin.
I mean, if we're talking like Where the Wild Things Are, yes.
Okay.
But I'm talking about like
like
books. I think I actually
not a novella.
When I was in elementary school, I did read what's his name, John Bellairs' The House with the Clock on Its Walls. That's the only book I ever read.
No Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh heck no!
Really?
Not when I was a kid. No, I couldn't have comprehended that or retained that.
Dude, I was reading like This Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness as a kid.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't really read it, like my first
Weirdo.
novel until I was like
I was a
24,
nerd, dude. I was a real geek.
which is ironic
Yeah.
because I'm a writer. So
You're a writer. Yeah. I mean, isn't that,
it's
yeah,
weird.
exactly.
But Ryan just tagged me recently. We barely talk, and it's only just because that's just the way it is. It's not like we hate each other or anything. We grew up in two different worlds where we've never been close. You know, I mean, he reaches out sometimes, says hi and stuff like that. But he just bought 3 of my books,
Really?
which I thought was weird. Yeah, he bought one for mainly for his wife and his stepdaughter read. So they bought them for them, and
I think I know which ones they bought.
They did not buy the ones I was hoping.
Oh, okay. So they didn't. Which one did you hope?
I was hoping that, well, because this girl is like 13 or 14, and my books are not they're not hardcore. Some of my short stories are, but my books really aren't. But some
messed up junk, dude.
Some of the topics are
a little bit
heavier.
heavy side, yeah.
But The Same Deep Water as You is one of the ones that the little girl got, and that is a beer drinking, drug addled skateboard punk rock fest that she's never going to be able to relate to. Coming of age, about falling in and out of love, and drinking with friends and stuff like that. It's not a kid's book, but she did read A Foster Homes and Flies, and apparently Ryan's wife and daughter really like that, as well as Out Behind the Barn. So,
dude, I haven't seen Out Behind the Barn, and I haven't read Out Behind the Barn, and I haven't read
Same Deep Water. Yeah, and that is one of my favorites. Same Deep Water.
Yep,
one of my favorites.
I got to do it, man. I got to. Dude, I love your work, man. Obviously. Yeah, obviously I'm a huge fan of yours.
But if by chance Ryan and Rashane do listen, I hope I didn't say anything.
But if they're like super devout fans and they've like loved us for a long time, but just never really shared their feelings, but like they really
that would be awesome. And
they hear this and they're like, screw Chad. We're done. We're done forever with Chad.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be close with them. And I'm probably closer to Rashane than I am Ryan. But I think it's unfortunate that we're not, because they are blood relatives. Yeah. And I was hoping that, when my biological dad passed away, I was hoping that would happen, that we would get closer, but we're just not. But my sister, she's a school teacher. She won like Teacher of the Year award a couple of years ago. I think she teaches in Tennessee or North Carolina. I feel bad that I can't even remember now Ryan lives here in Michigan. But I don't get to see him.
This whole conversation's weird. This whole conversation's weird. And every time I think of Rashane, dude, I'm thinking you got like a half black brother. I'm sorry, sister. I'm not even kidding. Like when you said Rashane, I'm like, were you serious? I didn't know. No. I've never met anybody named Rashane. And so, and that's it's interesting. And dude, that's fascinating. I didn't know any of this about you. So you not only spun me like a top with the whole thing, like the realization that, oh my gosh, all these years I've known this, but it's never like hit me that you're a firstborn. And then on top of it, you dropped this whole thing on me that you've got 2 other siblings. Yep. And then you dropped this other thing on me where I'm sitting there thinking like, well, dude, you got a step family, and you're like, no, it's half. And I'm like, dude, the difference. And it's like, dude, my whole world is opened up, Chad. It's major expansive. The food conversation, the family conversation, everything. And this movie that we're going to talk about is super expansive, mind blowing.
Hold the segue 1 second.
Right.
I just want to say one more thing. Blew my mind that Ryan actually acknowledged, and I think a lot of writers can relate to this. Sometimes, doesn't matter what you do, you will have family members that do not acknowledge the fact that you have published anything. I for whatever reason, maybe they're not readers, maybe they they can't take you seriously because you're my relative. How can this really be happening? How could it be any good? That kind of thing.
Like hometown prophets, dude.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
the
what
whole
comes
Jesus
to mind.
thing, like, oh, we know this guy, kind of
Right,
thing.
exactly. And I think, and so I get that. I get that. But I will say, so it blew my mind when Ryan had ordered those books, and apparently more after they read them. And so I got to call up my brother Casey, man. He's got to step up and acknowledge something and
He's
maybe
got
read a
to.
book.
He's got
Maybe-
to, and it's worth it, dude. I'm telling you, it's. Yeah, I've said a lot about what I feel about your books. You're a great writer. You're an amazing writer. It's not even a coincidence, man. It's not like, wow, what are the odds of this? That you found yourself in anthologies, right?
Mhm.
That include people like, for example, Stephen King,
Mhm.
for example, or Josh Mallerman,
Yeah.
for example. And so, and many, many, many others.
Mhm.
And so it's not a surprise. And dude, and Casey's got it. Casey's got to do it, man. He's got to take the dive.
Yeah.
Which book, by the way? If you let's suppose that he's listening. Let's just suppose that it's like a secret thing of his. He's like, I listen to my brother. So if he is, and there's one book that you would tell him you think he should read, which one?
Oh, probably one of the ones I gave him.
Okay, start there. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
start, right, Jen?
Yeah, or the audiobook code that I gave him years ago. Maybe he could listen to the audiobook. Or maybe he has. Maybe he just hasn't got around to telling me. No, I gave his daughter a hardcover of Foster and Supplies, and then I gave Casey a copy of Skullface Boy. If he has more than that, I'd have no idea.
I don't know how he couldn't like Skullface Boy. It's still my favorite to this day. I mean, and they're all good. They're all good.
Mhm.
Right, but it's just, to me, but it's also, I'm also the weird, I'm the oddball out, man. I'm the guy that's like, everybody around the world, and I mean it, like, more and more countries are buying and gobbling up and translating Foster Home and Flies.
Mhm.
Right, of all the books I've read of yours thus far, that's my least favorite of them all. But the world,
Wow.
to me, I'm not even kidding, dude. To me, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was when I read it. Because it was right after I finished Skullface Boy.
It's strange that you would like. I don't hate Wallflower, but it's my least favorite, probably because it's so dark and there is no hope like the other books there is. So I'm surprised that you would like Wallflower more than you like a Foster Home and Flies.
But you got to remember, I read Skullface Boy right before it, and they both end with the optimism.
So the bar
of
was set high.
California.
Oh, okay.
California is kind of like the end where it's like that's the hope, and it was one
It's
after
my
the other.
promised land.
The promised land, yeah. And so to me, and plus, man, I've been in the trenches. So have you, right? We've both been in some trenches, man. We've been in some dark places, but I like things that are just pure tragedy. Just there's no pastoral hope at the end. It's like, yes, it's very bad, but here's the glimmer. Here's the silver lining. I'm okay with movies and with like Greek tragedy and stuff like that, where it just ends and it's just brutal. Like there's no like, well, here's the redemptive quality. No, it's just a terrible situation. It's just absolutely terrible. But the way you wrote it, that was actually beautiful. And in fact, I think that was the only one I cried. Was that one. And it was weird, man, that I won't even give it away. I'm not going to give away a single thing because I think people got to read it. But it's one of those things, man, because there's people, that's one of the things about your book, dude. You've been accused. People are like, he's playing with emotions. He's turning the dials, man, getting people worked up. And I'm like, he's a great writer. But in Wallflower, dude, that shook me deep right at the end. And the despair in it and the realism in it. And so, but okay. So, but that's what you would say. You'd say you think that's, you think that's one that people should read, or he should read if he's,
I to be honest with you, I don't know, because I don't know what he would enjoy. He's not that kid in my punk rock band anymore.
Right.
Skateboarding next to me. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't even know if he's really read a book either before. I don't know. He's not an idiot. I know that.
Right.
But some people just don't like to read. But I love you, Casey, and I'm just messing with you. But hopefully
he could read Wrinkling the Blankets. people
Yeah.
who are just tuning in are like, I don't know why that's funny at all. And it's like, how long did I go, dude? Where I was like, I had how many different names for this book? I mean, you know,
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like
yeah.
I don't like it. Feel like the more heartfelt stuff or the, shall we say, shock and terror.
Oh. Oh.
So there's our segue. I
There's
guess.
the segue, dude. We are going right into it, man. Because this right here, this is a doozy, bro.
What evil lurks in the heart of Don Mondo? Only Chucky the Buddha, the enforcer of the Mondo Mafia, knows. Join them each week on the Mondo Method podcast as Chuck tries to get Don Mondo to reveal what is best in life and where he hid the bodies. Oh, they also talk about writing and being professional authors. The Mondo Method podcast with Armand Rosamilia and Chuck Buddha, weekly, wherever you find your podcasts.